Good morning, adopted heirs, joint heirs, scattered, natural, spiritual, wherever you may be. I want to say good morning to you all the way from South Florida. Uh, it's 61 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning here, 7:58 to be exact. Just want to say hello to you all and just simply title this Good Morning to see how everybody's doing. It's a Monday. It's bright, it's clear. I know those that are around snow, cold weather, our hearts are out for you. I used to live in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was just brutal. That weather was brutal. I never will forget it. How you doing, Ricky? Thank you for joining us on Friday for Bible study. Thank you for your input. Really appreciate it. Um, I um, I wanted to say that one of our subscribers left something with us, and I want to share it with you today. Um, so I was going to put a title on this, but I just said let me just simply leave it Good Morning. Revelations 11 and 8. Revelations 11 and 8. And it says that their two bodies shall lie in the streets of that city which is spiritually called Egypt, which stands for sin, and Sodom. Sodom is the city that had a particular sinful act, really led the Most High to destroy it. Okay? And I think that's important. And it says, if we want to know what that city is, this is where they had crucified the Messiah. Okay? So we know that that is Israel. Okay? That's Israel. I apologize for my phone doing this. How you doing, Kelly? Mega Old School, good morning. How are you? We're talking about Revelations 11. One of our subscribers sent me this, texted to me there in Philadelphia, my sister up there, Tia, and I just wanted to just elaborate on it because I thought it was worthy enough to look at and to make mention of this morning. And that's Revelation 7, chapter verse 8. And it says that it talks about his two witnesses and how that they were going to be in Israel. But in verse 8 it says that they're going to, their bodies, after they are attacked, their two bodies are going to lie in the streets. And it tells you where. He says in that city where they crucified the Messiah. But then he says that city is spiritually called Egypt, which is sin. And then he names the sin sodomy. Okay? If you go online and look at the number one Sodom and Gomorrah city in the world, it is Tel Aviv. That's what it is. So that was shared with me in a text message, and I wanted to share it with you all because I thought it was worthy enough to share. So thank you, beautiful one, for sharing that with us, sharing it with me. But I wanted to share it with you this morning because it's not something to be lightly looked over. The Bible is really unfolding. Bible prophecy is unfolding right before our very own eyes. It's unfolding. And so it's something to look at, something to take into consideration. We're at a time that we have to remain faithful, steadfast, unmovable. We have to stay rooted and grounded. He that endures till the end shall be saved. And you just have to be just really fervent word. But I thought that was worthy enough to bring to your attention today because those two witnesses lied in the streets where they crucified the Messiah. And we know where that's at. That's in Israel. And he says that place is spiritually called Egypt, which is sin. And then he names the sin, which is sodomy. And when you look up the number one Sodom and Gomorrah city of the world, it tells you where that's at. I'm going to look at some of these. That's Tia. Good morning, Tia. Good morning. Mega Old School, how are you? Kelly, how are you? And there's Ricky. So thank you all for tuning in this morning. So I just wanted to share that with you because we know laws have changed. We know that society globally has changed. We know that certain sins have become a protected class in some countries. Some countries, it's a crime where it's punishable unto death. And countries that have that severe law where certain sin is punishable unto death, they are being sanctioned by other countries. Now, I don't think that any sin should not be allowed at this point in time during the era of salvation to be able to have an opportunity to receive salvation. Now, what do I mean by that? The first time that the Messiah came, 2,000 years ago, it was for salvation. So until he comes, judgment will come. It will be judgment when he comes a second time. So our goal is to at least try to bring as many people to salvation, to get them to repent of their sins, to enter into covenant agreement with the Most High. That's what our goal is. That's what we're to do. And if we can win somebody out of any sin, it's our goal. I just did a message this past Sabbath, and it was called the parable of the talents. Though it was sharing the parable dealing with money and how are you able to double or at least bring some sort of return into what the Almighty gave. It's the same thing. We as individuals must try to win as many people from the captivity of sin as possible and try to get them to repent, because it's still time. It's still time to do that. We're still in the era of salvation. But when the Most High returns the second time, it's not going to be for salvation. It's going to be for judgment. Okay? It's going to be for judgment. So we still have time until he comes to try to win people and try to bring them out, make an awareness that they are in sin. But that city that's in the country where we know where it's at, Israel, we know where they crucified the Messiah. He says that city, the two witnesses are going to lay there, and they're going to be lying in the streets of that spiritual city called Egypt, which means sin and Sodom. And that is the type of sin. And if you just go, again, those that are just tuning in, if you go and look, what is the number one Sodom and Gomorrah capital of the world, that's where it's at. Same place. So we have Bible prophecy unfolding before our very eyes right now. It's unfolding. The hearts of many shall wax cold. That's happening right now. So stay rooted, people. Stay grounded. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to be afraid. This is the time to be encouraged. Because when you can read a book and look at it and read what's going to happen tomorrow, what's happening today, you've got something. You all that are tuned in, do me a favor, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, but take a moment and hit that like button. If you'll do that for us, I got one like. So if you all are not doing anything, hit that like button for us. I just wanted to leave this short lesson with you. I'm going to be coming a lot more this week in car cam, so I could be coming in an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours. This is a season in which truth has to be brought out, discussed, talked about. It'll be a little short, 10 to 15 minute spots, but I'll be bringing a mind for, as the Almighty puts it on my mind, to bring it to you. So thank you, Tia, for sending me that text message, showing me the information that you had. I thought it was just, it almost put chills in my bones, because I've read that several times. How you doing, Ricky? Brother Ricky Brown. I had read that numerous times, but when you put it in perspective from reading it and just hitting the Google search button to see for yourself, it's phenomenal just to watch all of that. So I just wanted to leave that with you all, because you can see it for yourself. It's not me. It's not something that's being made up. It's there. When it's there like that, you can just say, wow, man, I didn't know that. What can you say? It's right there before our eyes. And again, I just wanted to leave that with you so you can kind of have a perspective of what's going on. A lot's going on. A lot is going on. So this is a title that just says, good morning. I got a few more minutes. I at least want to leave you 15 to 20 minutes without just making it so short. Bible study on Friday night was good. We're going to start a whole new lesson, because I think the Christmas thing has been beat to death. I really do. I think that it's enough. Most of you all have been educated, but hopefully, one of the things, if I can take a few minutes, before I did this one, giving you the information about Revelations 11 and 8, I was going to come back and just talk about, just to wrap up that Christmas thing, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. I think that when we're talking to family, people sincerely believe that what they're doing is sincerely right. It's the right thing to do. So be firm, be concrete, show and educate in love. So when I come back on, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about educating and showing people things in love. So I'm going to do that later. In the meantime, that's going to be my next car cam in an hour or so. But I do want to go back to saying what I was talking about earlier. And since you're here, Tia, I'd like to say thank you. Tia does research for me, beautiful one, as you all see on here. She does a lot of research for us, a lot of research for the Great Gathering Hebrew Conference, a whole new section that we're going to be going into. And we're adding to the material. She does it. And of course, when you start to do research, period, when you just start to study, you learn something on the way of learning something. You just can't help it. I got just about 2 minutes before I get to my next spot, but I just chatting right now. But yeah, on the way to learning something, you learn something. So what she came across was Revelations 11 and 8. And when she came across that, I'm trying to get the glare out. When she came across that, she had sent that to me, because we had talked about some time ago how Sodom and Gomorrah I'm sorry, there you go. Sodom and Gomorrah was the number one capital for sodomy and Gomorrah. That particular sin is in Tel Aviv. That's where it's at. It's in Tel Aviv. You can do your Google search on it. Just put it in your Google. It'll list all the cities throughout the world, globally. It's not. Some people may think it's San Francisco. It's not. It's not San Francisco. I think San Francisco was in the top 5, but it wasn't the top 5. Um, so just look at that. And then when you read Revelations 11, chapter, verse 8, it puts it all into perspective. Um, the Bible is a book that you can take to the bank. It unfolds. Prophecy is unfolding. You can read it now, and when you read it, this book is the canonized books have been put together by the order of the Most High through the council that was put together by King James, and everything done is at the order. We don't believe that the kings of the earth get orders, but they do. And this was an order to put in together, and it was put together, and it was for us today. And so when we read this book, I'm telling you, when you read it and you can look at it, especially the prophets. Everybody wants to throw away the Old Testament. You can actually read the Old Testament and look at prophecy unfold right before our very eyes today. I may do a lesson on that just to bring out some things that you can look at and see, and then just see prophecy happening. So I just wanted to share that with you all. Peace to each and every one of you, and we'll talk soon. I'm going to be coming back with another car cam today, probably in a few hours, about how to address people and educate them in a manner that's most productive, where you can get to their ear without totally turning them off. They're not going to like what you say, but how to do it according to the scriptures that won't turn them away. They're always going to be upset, but they're not rejecting the truth. So we're going to share that with you later. Peace. We'll talk soon.